Test, 1, 2, 3. Hey, you will make it TV followers, viewers, supporters, and listeners across the globe. Thank you for tuning in to another live, insightful topic here at You Will Make It TV, where we share inspirational quotes, divine messages, and insightful topics weekly. We've actually been picking up our work and efforts a lot over here because sometimes when you suffer from delay, it doesn't always have to be a waste. Like what skills were you picking up in the midst of that delay? What did you learn? What did you get out of it? So that's another positive way we can look at delays and setbacks. But welcome to You Will Make It TV. In case you're new, we encourage you, invite you, and ask you to hit that subscribe bell. That's how you help us to build our following and our support rampart here at You Will Make It TV. But yeah. That's how we build our support rampart. Really, that's a thing that a lot of channels and platforms been going through for real though. I don't know if people just sitting back like waiting to see the rest of our reactions to it, but anytime you see layoffs in any major career field, layoffs or a lot of people being fired at the same time, I don't know, it always did tell a story because that doesn't happen for just no reason. Here, so even in the career field of media network and publishing and stuff like this, you have seen that a lot lately. Like a lot of platforms and news stations and stuff too have been quote unquote banned recently or lately, depending on what they're talking about or who feels like and then how do people admit that it's the age of information and the age of truth, and then they be turning around sitting here trying to censor, monitor, ban certain speakers? I don't understand. Well, where's the age of truth? Is it just gonna fall out the sky? I believe God will make it happen like that if it have to. They try to stop too many people from talking. If that's what he said his glory is about, revealing the truth and exposing it, or in the last days so that nobody is held without excuse. See, there's a bigger purpose with certain exposures as well. Because people will try to say, oh, I didn't know, or I had no idea. God don't play that game with people. A lot of times before his judgment, he put it in your face 20, 30 times, 40 times before, he but that's how God operates though. He do try to give people, I've noticed that, grace and mercy and warnings and signs and all of that, before he allows his judgment. And judgment could be good or bad. Y'all know some people judgment is whole justice. Some people judgment is whole freedom. Some people judgment is a timeout or a break, so that's going to look different for everybody, especially pertaining to divine judgment, right? Of course, it would be easier to live our lives just agreeing that nothing like that exists. Then there would be nothing to worry about. You're just doing whatever you want to do under the sun, and nobody's supposed to feel any way about it. But this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so we're kind of on the topic all month anyway. Because, awareness is important, not just mental health awareness or awareness about other matters in the world, domestic violence of all things, because that's one of those most conspirized and disputed kind of areas of life that people, if we knew all the answers, trust me, statistics still wouldn't be what they are today. They don't know because every domestic dispute is so different. You got to look at the situation for what it is, or why that family or those people are going through what they're going through. Now, I can't make this up. Every year, October 2025 is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But you don't see people outside just celebrating it and doing big things about it like it's Christmas, do you? Or like it's Halloween. You're going to see people running around everywhere. Let it be Domestic Violence Awareness Month. A lot of people don't even know that exists, right? Or Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I don't know. They just care about the major pagan holidays, and that's enough for them. But there are whole other reservations and observation days or months or weeks. Like they have National Sister and Brother Day. A lot of stuff we could learn. If you're busy learning about all the holidays you didn't know about, or observation days and periods of time, and not just in America, but also other parts of the world, there's just certain times of the year that they honor certain practices. And let's be honest, they even host ceremonies, rituals. Like, people do take observation days very serious, depending on what that observation day is reserved for. Okay? Now, we all become adults at some point in life, and we get to choose. We do understand that You Will Make It TV. We get to choose what it is you believe, or why you believe it, and what you practice. It's nobody shouldn't be forcing you to believe or live your life a certain way, right? And it shows us how much society has depended on people living their life a certain way. I always just thought life in the universe was a bunch of people who make their own decisions every day, and then we get what we get at the end of the matter. But now I'm waking up to the fact that people are not in control as they think. I think I had a piece of it. When I first started waking up, like looking at things or whatever in the world. But this is what I was trying to say. Like, more people are not in control of themselves as they think. Like, when I look at it as a visionist, being a visionist is not always like a positive feeling, because you see things that, how can I say this? Like, they just think all you vision is like the most positive, better things of the world. Like, no, I also, in order for me to vision the better things, wouldn't I have to see the issues and the problems and where we need solutions? And I'm not the only visionist of the world. I'm just saying I am one of those. But I think I speak for all visionists when I say that. They don't mean you just see the future and everything good in it and what you're supposed to get out of it. A real visionist sees it all. Even the things they didn't ask to see, they did not sign up to see, they didn't come to see, they didn't want to see. That's not something you could just turn on and off. You're a visionist, okay? And then I was talking about that in a short earlier, in an inspirational quote, because you could have strong vision and be weak in another area of your senses. Like, oh, my hearing might be terrible, or I might not be the best speaker, or I might not be the best artist, or whatever. But this sense right here, my vision is like this. So I wouldn't give up on a person like that. I would say, okay, well, these areas is where we need to brush you up at. We see where you're powerful at, but with all power comes some type of weakness. That's just the truth. And with cycles of abuse, the more we look at that, because too many people are, I don't know, living, because I don't see how you not being in control of your life, whether you're conscious of it or not, how that's not abuse. You're okay with people walking around like zombies and I don't know what to call it. Like, what are they? They're just the temples. They're just the bodies at this point. Because if you could say there's a such thing as questioning something too much or looking into something too much, that's already too far, like abuse. Who are you to say what if it ain't got no high top CIA security clearance on it, they say I can't look into it? Then you tell people how much they can expand their knowledge and research and in their intellect. So there is still plenty of information right here on the earth today that people can go find on their own. I'm just encouraging people with that fact again. They can go find this information on their own and actually probably elevate themselves with it. So I feel like deep inside, some people probably regret that they put modern technology out here, because they were like, oh, we didn't know people were going to better themselves with it. What else were we supposed to do? Just make it a crutch, make it some type of convenience that we depend on, or you make yourself better with it, right? You could give me a stick, but the next person might throw the stick and find no use of it. I might use the stick as my new cane. What you choose to do, or like they say, one man trash is another man treasure, all that good stuff. What you choose to do with something or a piece of knowledge once you get it, you don't even have to tell people. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna show. So it's like, oh, okay, this person and that person got the same gift, but look how that person using their gift. There's no diversity in the world anymore if everybody using their gift the same exact weight, right? But anyways, I'm not here to knock those who practice rituals or ceremonies, because what do you think a wedding is? That's a whole ceremony. It's two people standing up there making a vow to one another to do right by each other for the rest of their life and stay committed to each other for the rest of their life. To death do them part. So for those that be like, I don't practice ceremonies, I don't believe in ceremonies and rituals. Marriage is a ritual already. Some people even jump over the broom and throw the flower bouquet of flowers and everything. It's so serious. They are not going to end the wedding without throwing that bouquet of flowers. And the ladies are really going to believe whoever catch that bouquet of flowers, that's a form of ritual. I'm sorry. Y'all believe that whoever catch that bouquet of flowers, they're the ones going to be blessed with the next husband. You see what I'm saying? So all of these are kind of examples of ritualistic ceremonies. So I would say there has to be positive ones, or there were ceremonies and rituals created for positive outcomes, and probably other ones, because we know with every pro there's a con, and every con there's a pro. I want to talk a little bit about what inspired this topic today. Yesterday, it's been a while since I got a word from God that just like excited me from head to toe. That's how you know that's a real revelation. I was explaining to somebody this morning, a real revelation, you know it can't come from God, because why would some dark evil force want you to know positive information? And if its main goal is to overtake or overcome you, it ain't finna tell you no hints and clues along the way that can help you edify your life, or you're a very blessed person if that begins to happen. So I guess God, the universe, my angels and everybody, they saw that, oh, look at her, she's trying to put on for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. See, my angels and spiritual guides and everybody, they understand me. God, he understands me. And you cannot it's just not promised everybody on the earth is going to do that, but sometimes that's a form of love in itself. Just it's a level of bond you are showing. Like, it do seem like no matter what that person do, God understand her. How you gonna compete with that? Like, you got human beings that ain't willing to understand one another. So why would you get jealous or mad at God for simply understanding a person, even in their deepest, darkest places of life? He understand them. So anyways, I guess God saw that, like, oh, okay, my child trying to put on for Domestic Violence Awareness Month on her channel. And so God gives me a word, and people don't have to believe what I'm saying, but this is exactly how it happened. God gave me a word, so y'all can expect me to be on fire this month with the awareness topics. Because some of them, I know this ain't just coming from me and my experiences. This is coming straight from God, because the revelation that came to me, I had never thought about before. And it was about how people actually weaponize. You know how we used to do pranks for fun? We used to do pranks and jokes on each other, or they got something called April Fools. I'm very familiar with April Fools because I'm one of those in the world that actually have an April Fool baby. And it's just funny when she grow up. I try to tell her all the time, like, I always knew you was going to be a goofball, probably like a clown. Like, I thought God was funny giving me my first baby on April Fools, right? But anyways, pranks have always been common, like pranks and jokes and all of this. But God tells me, he said, my child, think about it. Look how many people use that to, he was just showing me in so many words, like using embarrassment and humiliation and like shame. A lot of people do use that to abuse people. And I was like, woo, I know that just came from God, because why would the devil tell me that? Why would some evil dark force that's trying to defeat me and my kind and my blood and my soul, why would it tell me that? So hold on, y'all, I'll be right back. Yeah, y'all, that's a word in itself. You have to make sure, or this is a warning. Warning come before destruction for all of us, right? God will take that same thing. He did. He said, I'll make your enemies your footstool. He ain't always talking about people. Sometimes your enemy is the spirit of depression. Sometimes your enemy is the spirit of whatever you're going through. But just know God said he'll make it your footstool. So your enemy don't always have to be a person. What demons are you fighting? What generational curses are you fighting? What your enemy could be anything. Your enemy is anything that make you less great than what you would have been great without that enemy. I'm tired of people just describing enemies as people. I mean that in an edifying way, of course. But yeah, we gotta stop teaching it. Like a person enemy is not just other people. Sometimes your enemy your own self. Sometimes your enemy is demons. Sometimes your enemy could be a past situation. You don't know. So we have to start teaching that when it comes to domestic violence awareness too. Your enemies ain't just who you familiar with all the time. See, we talk about other things we can earn and adapt to and adopt, but enemies is one of those things you don't even ask for. They'll just attach themselves to you, boy, if you're not careful. Because how more careful can you be? You're supposed to wear a t-shirt every day that say, hey, I don't want no enemies. But see, like I said, you can have enemies in the underworld you didn't know about, enemies from another dimension. It could have been your great, 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 great grandpa enemy from another dimension. You don't know what's going on, right? But you some kind of special or chosen if you pick up on it, I would say that. But I do believe people can have enemies from different dimensions, different spiritual realms. All people are not the only one that can be your enemies. That's all I'm trying to say. Some of us have unseen enemies for real. Like you can't see them with your natural eye. You're going to have a higher sense to see some of our enemies. They be trying to pinpoint, oh, she must be talking about this person and that person, her enemy. I'm first talking about my enemies. If I'm ever referring to my enemies in life, like David was in the book of Psalms, because I think people think David was also talking about just physical people. David wasn't just dealing with physical people. He was dealing with spiritual principalities, because sometimes that might be a part of the spiritual part we all got to go through when it comes to shadow work and inner man work and all of this, right? You facing your demons. People feel like if they don't see you directly face somebody that did something to you, you ain't facing your demons. I was just wondering how that's true, because a demon is a demon. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's operating in or out of somebody. That's what they said demons can do too, like body hop or body jump. Okay, so why would you be mad at the people when the whole time it's a spirit? And that's your whole enemy. But people wanted to get in your business and see who your enemy was. Imagine finding that out. Like, wow, this person's enemy you can't even see like that. So, just back on that's a word in itself. Like I said, you got a lot of people that use humiliation. That's another thing. I went and Googled it because I had heard topics about it over and over and over again. It seemed like actually in the new era, more and more people are talking about spirituality and spiritual knowledge. So I finally looked it up on my own and I saw that it was very real. Something called a humiliation ritual. To me, anything you do in a form of a cycle, like over and over and over again, you can consider that a ritual. If you wash your face every morning at 8 a.m., that's a ritual. If you can't just call anything a ritual. Like, do you do that same thing on repeat every time or at a certain time? Boom, boom, boom. So I already did my fact checks, and yes, mostly it's prevalent in religious communities or spiritual communities or communities with strong beliefs in something or somebody. They might have some kind of ritual that they practice to give reverence to what it is they believe. Remember, we just talked about holidays and reservation days and stuff like that. So yeah, people might have different ways and different rituals they practice, and they like, oh, I ain't got no religion. Well, if you practice Halloween every year, that's a ritual too. You do it every year. So yeah, back to what I was saying. I went and researched this. Hold on, y'all. This probably will be like a. I'm just bracing y'all. Don't worry if you can't. I know a lot of people just now getting off work. Woo woo woo. It's 5 o'clock. It is mountain time anyway, but anytime you miss one of our live segments, the good thing about it is we do repost them on our community page right here. You will make it TV on YouTube, so you can always go back and tune in later, or even share some of these segments. Play it loud, because sometimes people just hate who mouth is coming out of. So God will use another mouthpiece. That's crazy. People still with that same thing like, oh, well, it's because you said it, and we won't dare respect a person like you who says it. Well, guess what? God will take somebody else and have them say the same thing that person said. And guess who looks like the clown? Because you were able to receive it through another person's mouth, but the other person said the same exact thing. You know what I mean? And God already know people be like that. Why would he bless his child any less? His child was speaking the truth. He ain't finna look at his child less because of who didn't want to receive the word, because of who mouth it came out of. Then you hear it from another person, it seemed like your whole life suddenly changed. I mean, that would show that you're not as positive as you say you are, because you trying to tell God who he can and can't use to speak the truth about something. I wouldn't care if it's coming out of a donkey, a ass's mouth. If it's telling the truth, I'm gonna be able to recognize it. Period. And God have been known to operate like that. When you try to silence his voice in one place, he'll get the clouds to speak. He'll get the wind to speak. He'll get whoever. The Bible even said a rock. You don't want a rock to cry out in your place. Imagine the rocks. They don't even breathe. Like, they just stone. They just sit there every day. Imagine a rock taking your place, because you wouldn't move. It's rocks. It just shows it's other elements of the world that will move at the voice of God if you won't. And some of us are firm believers like that, because we've seen it. God will send a message through a dove, a bird, an animal. Who they? I don't know, man. People say they believe in magic. God exhibit his power, though. We supposed to be witches. So it's crazy. Why don't we stop calling and labeling everything some kind of spiritual evil, and more look at, wow, the world actually had more knowledge in it than we knew. And as we see, they only wanted some of this knowledge to only be reserved for certain people. So that looks suspect. We better trust every person on that panel, because who makes them, who deems them worthy of having more power than others? Nobody asked for these commands of chains of commands and orders that we have. But what is the debt we pay? Well, we abided by them. Most people in society abide by these orders, laws, and stuff every day. Hopefully that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. But this came from God to me. So if it encouraged my soul, I hope it can encourage others. But he just be letting me know sometimes, like, hey, if he God and he see everything, I think people just thinks that means physically, like physically seeing things. But no, imagine being able to see off into places that are usually hidden, like our heart, our souls, our lineage background. Because how you gonna know about something that happened in the lineage of your family if you wasn't there? But people say we can't be connected in this way. You can't have a dream about an aunt, something that happened to a great 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 aunt in the 1940s, or something that happened to a great 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 grandma back in the early 1700s in your family. That wouldn't have anything to do with anybody else. That's your spiritual inactiveness, your spiritual readiness, your spiritual consciousness. It's a choice. How much truth are you willing to receive? And then people see you with all that truth, and they watching how you move with it. Carrying the truth is like carrying a cross for real, because it ain't enough for you to just bear the truth. People are watching literally how you carry it. How you sleep with that truth every night, how you wake up with that truth every morning, how you brush your teeth with that truth. They don't care. They just want to see how you carry your truth. I don't know. It really shouldn't matter, but I'm saying this is domestic violence awareness. God said, yeah, that's a whole trend that they doing today. They like to, they want to embarrass you out your spot. They want to humiliate you out of your position. They want to shame you all the way back down to ground zero, right? Make that make sense, you know? And God showed me in a way of, yeah, the devil didn't like that. I see how the noise start going off in the background right when I said that. So yeah, that's the first part of what I'm trying to teach because it is true, and I feel like that thought, that burst of intuition that came to me yesterday about that is very, very true. Um, Maybe this tactic has been used for so long to keep people in a certain place or keep people in a certain spot. I knew that my anointing was telling me something about this, y'all. I can't say yesterday is the first time that my mind kind of thought about it a little bit, cause it wasn't. I couldn't put my finger on it. I said it got to be something about anyways, y'all. Just keep that in mind. It's a whole trend today. It's a way that I guess people told themselves, I can embarrass people. So God gave it to me in the analogy of parenting. Hey. In the form of parenting, there's a lot of parents out there. I'm not gonna say that they wrong or right, but a lot of like people believe that I don't know, they use it as a discipline tool. Do we know what discipline is? It's usually some kind of way that it's the method you use to keep things in order. And I think people try to study that. But even in my periods or seasons of chaos in my life, if God is there, that's the order. They'll try to actually look for a specific routine or order that you practice or follow every day. And that's stupid because even if you try to make a person's life look chaotic, if God is there, He's the order. Even if they don't have none, He's the order to back them up. He's going to put things in order and put it in perspective, and the truth still would be revealed through a situation like that. But there are some parents that like to, y'all, I can't even get it out every time I try to talk about it. They like to, I'm not saying if it's wrong or right, because I just had thought about it. Me as a parent, not yet anyway. It's not a way that I've ever used as a form of discipline. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to just embarrass you today, my child. You know what I mean? Now, you can tell a person something in a way where they feel shame because you want them to know when they doing wrong or right when you're a parent. So you might tell them something in a way where you did intend for them to feel some type of shame, right, about what they did, right? Because you don't want them thinking that that same behavior over and over again is actually okay. Shame and humiliation to me are two different things. Shame is more of a personal, because both of them you can feel. It's both of them are internal emotions. Don't get me wrong, but shame is more of a personal. Like you choose to feel that. You choose to feel that. That's you letting God know, the world know, your parents know, the universe know. You feeling shame is you still having a heart. Let me explain it like that from my opinion. You feeling some type of shame shows that you still have a soul, you still have a heart. It's the people that are shameless that we should be worried about. And look at the ones they use the shame tactic on. It's like it's the ones that you know have souls. You know they still have a heart. That's the only reason they would still feel shamed about something. A person that is set in their ways, it don't matter how many times you show them their ways. They feel absolutely no shame about it. So I love the way that God gave me this revelation. But hold on, y'all, I'm not done. Because God is revered as a father to his children. They call him Father God or our Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Okay? Okay, so back to what I was saying. They reverence God as a father. And it's not too often that you see in the Bible he used whole humiliation on his own children to, even with the story of Job, a lot of people feel like God chose or he selected Job to go through what Job through what Job went through. But if you actually go back and read the book of Job for yourself, Job didn't actually ask for what he went through. He wasn't doing anything to deserve what he went through. What you would consider maybe an evil person, a side witch, a warlock, just decided one day they're gonna come to God and challenge him about Job. So it's not always something you did that causes humiliation and shame in your life. Let's talk about that. And Job's story is the perfect one to use as an example. Just go read it. Job didn't do anything to deserve the long period and season of sickness and poverty and loss that he suffered. And he didn't just have any old sickness. He had a sickness that, like how AIDS is. Well, the generations of today are crazy because they seem like they don't even fear that as much as people. But what I think is we had a big gap somewhere where you should have been teaching the next generation about these extra sedentary lifestyles and stuff like this, extra wild, extreme, risk-taking lifestyles. Clearly, clearly something was missed because you have more of a generation that don't even fear plagues and stuff as much. Even during the pandemic, they were encouraging people to stay in the house. You know how many people were still outside going to outings, begging the politicians to open everything back up? They had absolutely no fear of what could have been potentially very, very dangerous to the whole world. All they could still think about is their lives and what they had to do and how they had been delayed since everything had been shut down. But if you ask me, people do not have a fear, or they don't have the same fear today of certain diseases or dangerous things that people once did. So back to what I was saying. Job is a perfect example. He had a sickness that most people didn't want to touch you or be around you if they knew you had. It was called leprosy. It could cause your skin to boil, your skin to fall off, all kind of crazy stuff. He didn't do, I'm gonna say it one last time, he didn't do anything to deserve that what he ended up going through. And the Bible tells you he didn't. So it just seemed like everything, when you see that on somebody's life, I just feel like that's a sign of a spiritual presence anyway. Like everything that could go wrong just go wrong at the same time in a person's life. No, that is not always the devil. We got to remember God gave Job's enemy the permission to touch anything that he wanted to in his life. That included his health, his finances, his marriage, his friendships. Okay. Sometimes I look at my life and just feel like people took whole Bible stories and tried to recreate them, which is a mockery to God. We will be back with more insightful topics because when I'm off work, I try to come and do my work here that I do for my own business. But this is important what we're touching on though. What we're going to be talking about later is just all those people who thought that the rapture was happening on the 23rd or the 24th of September. All those people who thought that, actually, they said the update is they've been running around talking about what they don't have now because they sat up there and gave all their belongings and personal items away thinking they were going to be raptured. But I'll give my reaction and commentary to that news a little later today. So that's another reason y'all can stay tuned if you do end up, missing this segment. So I forgot what part I was on. All right, y'all. This is what I was talking about. So Job did not necessarily do anything to end up in his position. But if you see somebody's life, like everything they could possibly go wrong, and when I see that, number one, I'm gonna stand out of their path because like I said, it's not always the devil. Like God will give, people or places or things, positions to actually be your adversary. He'll give them permission to do it. He'll give them permission to test you. He'll give them authority to test you. What do you mean? Everything goes back to the Most High God. Yeah, he'll give, and that didn't mean that he gave Job over to his circumstances. That's the thing. He actually told the enemy, you can touch everything in Job's life but his life. And some of us don't even know behind the scenes that God has told the enemy that on our behalf as well. You know it's real when you've had enemies come to you and say, yeah, God must really love you, as if they were trying to tell you something, Not like God must. They actually would say things along the line like, God love you, or you should be grateful, God love you, like as if they have already tested something or tried something behind your back and they saw the power of God. I think people just be curious, like, oh, what would happen if we go and touch certain divine beings? As we see, even in the biblical days, the devil was curious. And it's like, it's a repeat of the same thing over and over again. Like, he get the same result, which is defeated every time. But it's like, oh, whoop-de-whoop, how many people can I deceive into deceiving a divine being? How many people can I get to attack a divine being? How long can I get away with trying to manipulate a divine being? Come on, man, it's the same thing over and over. He even tempted Jesus. They say he tempted Jesus while he was on a 40-day, 40-night fast. He came out there and tempted Jesus too. This is just his job. The more we're aware, So what is y'all opinions about that? Leave it in the comments. Leave it in the chat. I'm not saying that, cause like for example, I saw a TikTok of, I think it was a dad. He shaved his son's hair off. He shaved his hair to where he was bald head, right? And he said, well, this is my son's punishment for maybe doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing at school. And so that would be, I guess, using an example of somebody using humiliation or shame to discipline, somebody that they claim to love. And yeah, even in the video, the little boy was crying. Like some in the comments of that TikTok, of that viral TikTok, was saying that there was abuse. But what are y'all opinions? They was already saying it. Like that's just how some people view parenting. Like if you so happen to use shame or embarrassment a little bit to teach your child a lesson, they say that that is abuse. Okay? My thing is they'll say this with parents, but you got to look at every other situation in life. It shouldn't be okay for anybody then to be able to shame somebody into what they want them to do, embarrass somebody into what they want them to do, Now, of course, you could put the spotlight on one person and just say, look, it just seems like this person goes around trying to shame everybody. But if you don't know the full story or see that it first started with people trying to do that to that person, and this was I'm gonna put the quote like this. Like I told people, you cannot tell people how to fight. You can't tell people how to fight a battle that they've never fought. They don't even understand the battle you in. They don't even understand who you're fighting, right? Just like we said, an enemy might not always be a physical, tangible person. An enemy could very well be a whole demon out here, a whole entity. Your enemy could be the fall time for whatever reason. Maybe the fall time reminds you of this or that, or it's just a bad time in your life every year, right? Everybody has a different level of enemies, right? They come from different places. You can't just put the word enemy in a basket or category by itself and say, that. Anything could be an enemy to anybody. Once again, so that parent had, and that's another thing. He posted it on TikTok. This parent didn't care. It's a lot more parents doing that. Like, oh, I'm gonna actually discipline my child on camera. I don't know if they be doing it out of discipline or they just looking for the reaction. I think they be having so many emotions going on. That shows that if you brought the whole situation of social media, I don't care what the situation is. If you bring it on there and it's pertaining to your child, no, no. Thank you guys for your patience through the pause breaks. Okay, let's see if I can get through, or I might just come back with a part two. How about that? Because it does matter. Like, why has that gone on so long? Or what is it about the human psychology and anatomy that people resort straight to that, even out of revenge, right? They might say, well, I want to embarrass, because parenting, you can never call that revenge. There's cause and effect with everything in a relationship like that. People try to cause so much strenuous stuff to go on and wonder why you didn't seek revenge. That's crazy. If that don't expose that you were looking for it to begin with, because that's not how everybody doesn't look at that as a mature way to get their point across. Like, girl, I'm a humiliate or embarrass this person. That's two different things. You coming to somebody asking them their business, right? Or asking them for a little side salt or a little salt seasoning for what you already heard something about their life, right? They'll make it like they just found it out or they heard through the grapevine. Nobody ever told y'all hearing something through the grapevine was facts or the truth. And then if you come and ask somebody their personal business, that's your personal choice if you turn to go back around and shame them with that same information. You got to make it make sense. Now, what I read from how the humiliation rituals work, though, they do try to make sure it's a public display. So I thought of an example. If you were to just, y'all know that one prank in school where they might give you a wedgie, or you might just pull down your friend's sweats or pants and they feel like they're exposed, right? But why is the first emotion they feel embarrassed? If you know you didn't even just cause what just happened to you, it had nothing to do with you whatsoever, but that another person just did that to you. What is there to be embarrassed of? It shows the the goofy in another person, the clown in another person. It shows how funny they can be, right? When they feel like something needs to be punished or disciplined. Oftentimes, when you see humiliation, why is it associated with discipline? And then if that's the case, what's the highest level of what somebody can do, for where it's required for them to be disciplined with whole humiliation? And then for how long? So some people say this is rituals that people do. Come on, mama. Come on. Oh, the devil really don't want me talking about this topic or something. When y'all hear me do a pause break, it's so you don't hear all. You might hear the kids sometimes, but if it get too loud, I'll pause it and get back control of my household because I do my lives on the go. For those that didn't know, you might be invested in your own business a little bit at any given time, but you might also have another job. But that's another topic for another day. Or we can discuss it because everybody do live different lives. And I was wondering, how do you humiliate or embarrass somebody you don't know? Well, it is little pranks like that you can do to anybody. That girl Lex I Am with that channel, she's known to have a prank channel. It's very funny. Y'all go check her out, subscribe or whatever. But that's pretty much what her whole channel, that's what her content is about. Like, she just pull pranks on people. You don't have to know a person to pull a prank on them. Or what? We got to do whole laws to regulate pranks now? Because if that's all people can go back and call something, then what do you have? Pranks are still associated with humiliation. Pranks are still associated with shame or embarrassment. And the only way that person gonna usually drop the embarrassment, shame, or humiliation is if you go ahead and let them know, hey, it's a prank. That's why they be having to hurry up and let them know before the person have a whole reaction. Because it's like telling people, yeah, just let people do whatever to you. And then just saying, oh, I'm sorry, it's a prank. Like, everybody not with it. Can we bring that back to normalization? Everybody don't live their life like that. You just got a lot of goofy people out there. Because it's crazy. I like to laugh too. I'm actually a whole comedian too. Especially when it's those things in life you feel like people don't catch. That's a whole different level of comedy. That's a whole different level of laughter too. And they'll be like, well, you don't deserve that laugh. If you didn't even know laughs from certain places existed, you don't get to tell somebody what laugh they do and don't deserve to share. Even if it's with themselves or with others. Laughing, that's another one. It has been most times associated with humiliation. Because, and that's really sad. Why is people's first reaction to laugh at somebody's embarrassment, their shame, their humiliation? And it be people like that, because God know, even if you don't chuckle out loud, he know if people find things funny behind the scenes. And they still think it's all about illusion. Now, how are you living the truth if you live in an illusion? Anybody. The truth of your life would be that you're living an illusion. The illusion itself wouldn't be the truth. You see what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. How people use the illusions of humiliation, right? Like, what if you use that on a person so long, they don't even know what that is no more? Like, they still carry themselves as positive as they can, but they like humiliation, embarrassed, shame, so they might get looked at crazy now. It's done backfired. It look like this person is actually not shamed. You might feel like you don't understand where that person is proud and shamed anymore, because proud would be the opposite of shame. That's crazy. That's you whole 100% confidently believing in something, being proud of something. The other side of proud is humiliation. Let's just remember that. That's another note we can take from this segment. The other side of humiliation is proud. Or you don't know the thing at all. So you're proud of something, you're ashamed or humiliated by something, or, and why does this matter with domestic violence? If you raise a person up feeling like shame is okay, or let me say it like this, like you raise a person around even believing that people shaming them is okay. People shaming them, or they don't really understand what the emotion of shame is, because a lot of people act different through different emotions. I was talking about that earlier. Everybody, like most people do expect you to act a certain way when you hold embarrassed. Like they might just wonder in the back of their mind, who is this person? I said it on a quote the other day, how some people, if they've never seen you or they feel like you don't suffer enough pain a lot, they'll just sit back in the cut and try to create it for you. They see that your life is blessed. They see that, most things you just pray for, you walk by faith. So they might want to see you in a different light, is what I'm trying to explain. They might want to see who you are when you're embarrassed. Who are you when you're angry? Who are you when you're ashamed? And what's crazy, some people, they the same person all the way through it. And you tell me where that ain't balanced at. That means they have pretty much experienced just about every emotion. You just wondering how. You wondering when. You wondering. It's too late for that. Some people, the reason that they the same way through emotions, you feel like you should have got a reaction out of, because they really did some inner work on themselves. They really know, what does it benefit me to yell and shout about every problem in my life? What does it really benefit me to complain when I'm still breathing, even if a person did just cause destruction in my life, or and I know it, even if they calling it a prank? You see what I'm saying? That's a really high vibration in itself. Just going ahead and committing to not allowing humiliation, embarrassment, and shame and incontentment and feelings like that, because that's all they are. They're emotions. Once again, I tried to give an example. If you happen to be in a public place and somebody just run past you and pull your pants down or pull your wig off, or something that under normal circumstances would embarrass somebody, why would you be embarrassed? That would mean even the onlooker saw what just happened. Like, you didn't do that to yourself. What is there to be? We can see if you do something personally that shames you. And that's where people will try to get it at. They don't want to look like they had a hand in humiliating you. That's how humiliation rituals work. I guess that's the thrill of it. The person not knowing where the humiliation is coming from. But depending on, let me tell y'all something. This is another way you can see humiliation. They be like, how can you see? Well, seeing is believing, ain't it? Okay, just remember I said that. Seeing is believing. Just know that matters more than what people think. That quote right there, how you gonna ask a person how they can see or what they can see? What they can see is what they are willing to understand, or the mind capacity they're willing to go when it comes to the truth. So if you already type person shut down at just a 20% of the truth, you're not ready for the truth in life. You're not ready for any type of truth. But people be wanting to know all the gossip and tea, don't they? But with certain things, you tell them 20% of the truth, they don't want to hear no more. What part was I on? Oh yeah, so they don't want to look like they have a hand in the humiliation towards you or making you feel shame. But this is how, I'm not going to say this method will work 10 out of 10, but you can see who is behind the humiliation or shame or embarrassment ritual. Just look at what happened to you, right? And then think of how people think. Like, if you already know that at the same time, like, oh yeah, this couldn't have been nobody but Bobby. And they be like, how do you know that? Well, you just look at certain details through whatever the humiliation ritual was. You think about Bobby and how goofy he was and all the other pranks he pulled, all the other people he pulled a prank on. Like, come on, bro. Why would people think they're that hidden and then just throw anybody in front of themselves? Like, no, it ain't me. They just be crazy with the projections. But it humiliate, you can kind of see where that's coming from, though. Even with certain pranks. Let's say you wake up, you find toothpaste in your shoe, but it's 10 people that live in your household. You might feel like, you could be like, who did this? But with certain things, it just be kind of telling. Not saying that you should assume, because they say assuming means making an ass out of you and me. But sometimes details just give you a little bit more insight on where something could have came from. I don't know why people be thinking it's hidden. If I already study your personality, your character, just like you can study a person, like what makes them tick, what makes them feel ashamed, what makes them humiliated. A person can look at you and see that. The fact that you even think that way, don't you know there's other ways to get to know a person than just wanting to know that? What embarrasses a person? What humiliates? You see a person too focused on that, something is wrong. You only focus on, now of course if you like what makes a person happy, ain't nobody gonna judge you for that. That looks like a sign of love. Like you want to know everything that makes that person happy, that makes that person smile, that makes that person give them good feelings. If somebody looking at your life like that, you wouldn't look at them as odd because they're clearly trying to make you happy. But a person that's I only want to know what makes this woman tick. That person got a problem with you already. Because why would that be the only thing you super hyper focused on? What makes a person angry? Clearly, I'll get angry as human beings. So my main point is going back to say, how is intentionally setting people through humiliation rituals and shameful, embarrassing situations, how is that not abuse? Especially if it's unwilling. It ain't like they signed a contract and said, well, yeah, I'm willing to go through this. Here. Okay, bring me that phone. Go get me that phone. Put it in the purse. Put that phone in the purse. Go get that phone. Okay, so